Welcome back at WNST, Towson, Baltimore and Baltimore Positive. The hat in front and the logo out in front, the new website, and this good-looking guy out on the front of the website as well. Joins us each and every Thursday from 3 until 5 doing the Dennis Koulatsos show. Took a little bye week. I did last week. Dennis took a bye week the week before that. The Ravens had to move their bye week around, and the bye week found me on a couch, Den, and I don't want to say I'm worried about the Pittsburgh Steelers, but they are undefeated, and the Ravens took the bye week and augmented the pass rush and made some moves and whatnot. But we got ourselves a real NFL season. Even the Browns won over the weekend, right?
Crazy game with the Browns. Baker Mayfield had 0 yards in the first quarter plus a pick. Ends up with 5 touchdowns. It was a crazy weekend of football as you and I stayed on our respective couches, and watched some great football. The overtime game with Seattle with the Cardinals, and DK Metcalf now went 114 yards to catch the safety there at the 8-yard line. And now the Ravens, curiously to me, Nestor, are 5.5-point favorites over the Pittsburgh Steelers for reasons I do not know why. You can't give them 3 points anymore for home field advantage. There's no such thing as field advantage in this day and age. So I don't get why we're 5.5-point favorites.
I sat around and watched Steelers play on Sunday, and it's probably the third time I've sat and watched them play to get the vibe. And I've joked about this, but back in December last year after Roethlisberger's out, my wife and I were watching 7 o'clock one Sunday night. We're watching him hold the clipboard, and we're kicking everybody's butts, And we're like, man, he looks fat and old, man. And all of a sudden I said, yeah, maybe next October he won't. And here we are. It's Halloween, and I don't want to say the Steelers are scary, but they're undefeated, and they're better than advertised. And certainly we did not spend March and April and May and June and July talking about the Steelers.
No, we didn't, Nestor. That first drive was a thing of beauty. It was 9 minutes and 18 seconds. They went down the field methodically. It looked very much like Bill Belichick and Tom Brady's offense, dunk and dink all the way down the field. The time of possession advantage the Steelers was significant in the first half, and give credit to the Titans for fighting back, but Steelers look very, very formidable on both sides of the ball. Their offensive line looks very, very good. Defensive line is as good as advertised. Should be a very, very good battle, but again, I'm mystified by why it would be such a big favorite. The line should come down as the week progresses, as money should come in on Pittsburgh.
Well, I mean, there's always money on Pittsburgh. Dennis Koulatsos joining us here. Aside from the point spread and winning football, the Philadelphia victory, I knew this was going to happen. It feels like it was a month ago now, not a week ago. You look back on it and say, what happened in the second half there? And then you see the Steelers, and the Steelers, they let Tennessee back in the game. I mean, Roethlisberger threw some bad balls. I mean, all of those things that can be capitalized on this week. And might be with Ngakoue, part of the pass rush and get the team better. And DaCosta wasn't asleep last week. All of those things, but they did not look good last time out. And it's such a last time out league.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I'm more concerned about the offensive line. The center play, the right guard play hasn't been stellar this year, and I'm really worried about that front going up against that fierce Steelers stout pass rush, right? They can get after the quarterback. They can stop the run. It's going to be truly a battle of the trenches, and I think our defensive line will be okay against their defensive line, but the big question mark for me heading into this game is, can the Ravens establish a run, and can they protect Lamar Jackson when he drops back to pass?
Well, and will we see the passing version of this offense or the running version of this offense? And what happens to the three-headed monster in the backfield? How are we using the tight end? I mean, this is the real challenge, right? You beat these bad teams. Now you see Pittsburgh, and I don't know that Indianapolis is a good team. I got my flight organized. I'm going into New England 2 weeks from now for Sunday Night Football, and but this and Dallas doesn't look like Dallas now, right? Like we looked at that on the schedule down the line and thinking that was going to be something. But where we are, and there are going to be very few of these kinds of games where you look at it and say they're a formidable team as opposed to a shell of what the New England Patriots used to be.
Yeah, the Patriots. Look, watching the Patriots and the Buccaneers brings back to mind one of my favorite sayings, which is, "I'd rather have the Jimmies and Joes over the X's and O's." Right? We'll see Tom Brady still doing great things in Tampa Bay, throwing the ball deep. Now they're going to augment that passing game with adding the mercurial and controversial Antonio Brown, while Bill Belichick just scratches his head up there in New England. He pulled Cam Newton. He looked terrible and whatnot. But give me the horses, give me the players, Nestor, over the coaches. I'll take the players any day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Dennis, have you ever lost a really good employee and somehow still had a better year? I mean, I'm sure that's happened at some point. And when I think of Le'Veon Bell and I think of where Antonio Brown is, and I think about, quite frankly, whatever Belichick has managed out of New England, that Tom Brady has had this clearly he is a man on a mission at this point, as, you know, Gronkowski and Brown, that he's created his own little LeBron hot tub club down there in Tampa. But for all of this that goes on, the Ravens go out last year, add LJ Fort, add Josh Bynes, who was a member of the Super Bowl team that they drafted and scouted and knew. They wind up dealing and grabbing Marcus Peters and bringing him in to give themselves a chance. They wind up getting rid of Earl Thomas. These decisions that other organizations would find to be difficult, tough, hard to manage in season, making deals. And I talked at length with Luke about this because Luke and I have been at this over a decade together now. I've been doing this 3 decades. And when the team came back to Baltimore 95, 96, we weren't talking trades in October or signing guys or Domata Pecco late in the season and who are we going to get and which players are we going to get. That really started with Belichick a decade ago, and I remember having long conversations with Chad Brown, who's a good buddy of mine, about how the phone would ring every late October. It would be Bill Belichick saying, "Can you come in here and give me 8 weeks?" I joked to Luke about I'm sort of shocked that Terrell Suggs, you know, wouldn't be a guy they would call at this point. But the Ngakoue deal and what it represents, and for the Ravens to say, much like you and me, and maybe Harbaugh won't say this on Mondays and Wednesdays and Sundays, which is, yeah, we could use a little bit more on the pass rush. Yeah, might need another receiver. It might need a little bit more on the offensive line. That these needs come up, and this organization takes care of those needs, as opposed to whatever Tampa's doing or whatever the Le'Veon Bell thing is or malcontent players. The Ravens went out and said, this is our biggest need. This is what it's going to take to beat the Kansas City Chiefs on the 3rd week of January, and let's go do that.
Yeah, you know what? There's no substitute for talent, Nestor, and business people. That's what we do. We acquire talent. The more talent you have around you, the better shot you have of being successful. And the NFL is no different. Now, the only exception to that is when you have talent such as Earl Thomas that takes away more than what he gives. And whether it's the Ravens Players Council or the coaching staff or what have you, him missing meetings and taking away from the team more than he's adding, that's when you make a change and move away from it. And as you mentioned, Andy Reid adding Le'Veon Bell, right? Le'Veon Bell gets some carries over the weekend. He looks fresh. He looks motivated. He looks happy. And as long as the players are contributing more, that's when you make a change. The Ravens are not asleep at the wheel. They made significant changes last year. They made some significant changes this year. They're all in. You know, these windows in the NFL to win a Super Bowl close so very quickly. So whether it's Ngakoue or adding Des Bryant to your practice squad, whether it's genuinely to get him on the field at some point or to motivate the existing wide receiver room of the Ravens, these things are purposeful, and I applaud them for going out and taking chances and taking risks to improve this team, because they knew that they could if they have to face Patrick Mahomes in February again. They're not going to beat him with the same defense that they threw at him in the Game 3 loss. They have to put pressure on him with 4 people, and Ngakoue is a terrific addition to the front 4.
Dennis Koulatsos is here. He's making terrific additions at Coons Florida Security Boulevard. We make a tremendous addition, terrific addition. I'm going to use that. That's what terrific addition. There you go. On Thursday, it'll be a terrific edition of the Dennis Koulatsos Show. 3 until 5 on Thursdays, then heard again on Sunday morning as we prepare. Dennis, if I offer you 2 tickets for the game, are you going to go to the game if that's the case? And I'll just say this. I went to Houston, nobody there. D.C., same thing. I went up to Philadelphia, and I'm just being honest, and this isn't a knock on Ravens fans or Eagles fans or the league or the game itself, But part of the experience of going to the game is the crowd. We've talked about the Rolling Stones, and if you could see the Rolling Stones in a club socially distanced with 12 people, would you want to? I probably would prefer the stadium experience because that's what I want. I want to feel that energy. And I'll tell you, that Philadelphia thing 2 weeks ago where, I was sitting behind the Eagles' families in the club level because I was in the press box. I could sort of see who was there. It did not look like – and just because they weren't like a good team and they came back in the end, whatever, it just does not look like an experience that begets the $250 price. What you're going to pay for and what you're going to get in a mostly empty stadium is probably going to underwhelm those who are looking to find scalpers that they've got to be at the game. You're going to go to the game and be like, wow, this was less fun than I thought it was going to be, even if we win,
Well, I applied for the lottery tickets that the Ravens front office made available to the public, and I'm hopeful to get some of those tickets, and I'm looking forward, if afforded the opportunity, to pay that $250 to go cheer for the Ravens. I want to be there. I want to see the players in person. I want to watch the coaches, the players on the bench, how they're interacting, and cheer at the top of my lungs and try to give the Ravens that 12th man advantage. No matter how small or insignificant it may be, but I definitely want the stadium experience. Nestor, I welcome it.
See, you're getting me into the mindset now that it's like a Bear Stadium, a Westminster August scrimmage special, back in the old days, that if you're there, you'll feel special to be there. But I'm telling you, there's something about it that is uniquely, grossly un-American, unnormal, plague time weird about it. That's all I'm going to say. That for those who do go, and you're going to get a ticket, you're going to be all wound up like you, Dan. You're going to get down there. You're going to get there, and you're going to be like, this really is less fun than it used to be.
But Nestor, you're talking about a guy who was 17 years of age, used to go from Towson University to Goucher to watch the Colts play, to practice rather. I could see
Colts. What was left of the Colts?
I could plainly see that Mike Pagel was a better quarterback than Art Schlichter, right? So there's things you pick up, and to me, to watch glorified practices was okay. I still watch the Combine, right? I still watch Underwear Olympics. I can't get enough of professional football. So given the choice of sitting at home and watching a football game or taking a shot and taking a chance at being at the stadium and trying to make the best out of that situation, I take that any day of the week, particularly since we were football with that 13 years, Nestor. So I would welcome any chance to go to the stadium.
You weren't running numbers for Schlichter at the Pimlico, were you?
Not me. I've never been to Pimlico. I've got to go. That's a bucket list thing for me, just to go to a horse race, right? I've never been to a horse race before, so by the grace of God, very soon I'll be able to do just that.
If the plague continues and everything about life continues to go the wrong way, I think we should do a new segment here where we have 2 drinks and only talk about things like Art Schlichter. Things that don't matter, that are rearview mirror, whatever you want. Old Orioles fans can talk about Jim Fuller if they want, or, things that were Earl Williams. We could talk about problems of the 70s and 80s that's self-solved.
Look, I'm glad that we have and grateful that we have our sports back. It was a great weekend of sports. We saw some great football. The World Series, the matchup was intriguing. It's tight. We saw some great UFC fights and the retirement of a great UFC fighter. So I'm just very grateful that we have our sports back and that we have significant content to talk about.
I'm even grateful that the Steelers are undefeated. There was a little part of me on Sunday. I wasn't rooting for them, but I was more like, all right, they're better than we thought they were. Bring it on. Let's go. Let's see. This will make the season more fun. The life is better when the Steelers are good. And that's probably something that anybody that ever hated Tennessee in football, now that they stink, the Jets and the Giants both stink, but I don't really want the Steelers to become the Browns. Now, that said, I don't want the Browns to become the Steelers, and I'm a little worried about that too. So,
well, these are legacy games, and these are the type of games that Lamar Jackson can increase his legacy. These are the type of games that Calais Campbell and Yannick Ngakoue and Patrick Queen and Marcus Peters can really sink their teeth in. So lots of things at stake here, divisional rankings, playoff implications. And the game should be flexed, by the way. This game, as much as I wouldn't want to go on a Sunday night, I think the Sunday night matchup offers us the Eagles and the Cowboys. I think the entire nation would be in agreement that this game be flexed to 8 p.m. Sunday night.
So here's what I want you to do this week. I want you to stalk Patrick Queen and send him some pictures. You know, the one where Ray has his knee on the chest of Roethlisberger that they have hanging in Amici's, right? Or the Terrell Suggs, you know, or like somewhere I'm sure there's a picture of Ed Reed slapping him around. Or who was the one that gave him the concussion? Did somebody really hurt Ben in a game, didn't he?
Was it Bart Scott that came around the corner and laid him out?
Yeah, so there are all of these terrible – pictures, and you need to let Patrick Queen know that, he needs to make a play on Sunday. We need to make clean play, no injury, just make a play. There needs to be a picture of 48, draped over 7 at some point. Maybe we can get that started at Baltimore Positive this week, you and me and the D. Koulatsos show. I was retweeting you on Sunday, man. You were making sense on the internet is what you were doing.
Look, once in a while I do that. I have a lucid moment where I do make sense. But I love rock 'em sock 'em type of games, and the Titans and the Steelers certainly was just that. And we expect more of the same between the Ravens and the Steelers. The physical matchups, and they give you a gauge of where these two teams are at this point of the season, and also where they're headed.
Dan, one other thing I'd say, and we could talk about this on Thursday on your show, and I took a bye a week last week, but around the league and you were bullish on the league in April. You were bullish on the league in May. You're bullish on America in June. In July, you're like, maybe they shouldn't be playing. And then in August, you're like, maybe they shouldn't be playing. Then September, well, they're going to play. And then they start to play. Now it's October, and the plague's getting worse, and things are shutting down. All this stuff's happening, and we're into it, and they're playing, and the World Series is going off. LeBron's won a championship. Stanley Cup got going. They're even playing college football now. All of these things are happening. But from a football perspective for the league, sitting around this Sunday, and I know you and I have talked red zone before, but it was really a good day of football. I did a lot of work on Sunday on the new website, on Baltimore Positive. I'm this close to getting the audio vault where it needs to be this week, and we'll have everything where it needs to be for moving forward. But I worked really hard, but I sat, and all the games were close. And, the 4 o'clocks, maybe not so much or whatever, but it really was there isn't much normal. And if you get tickets this week, then it won't feel normal. But on Sundays to watch football, the product's been really good. And I tip my cap to the NFL for giving us, other than some plates of food that have felt normal and an apple cider donut here and again, there hasn't been a whole lot of normal. But football, they've held up their end of the bargain. The NFL has handled this professionally.
Well, again, to your point, Nestor, what would we have done had we not had NFL football this past weekend, right? We would have filled that time with other things, I'm sure, but it's a lot more fun when you do have the NFL on a rainy Sunday when it's chilly outside and you're able to stay inside and watch some compelling games, some meaningful games, some entertaining games. That's the other part of it. So that's why we love the NFL, and it's one of the great things that's good about America still.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about it, and I am happy they're playing. I've told Dick Cassis. I've had conversations with Dick and John and everybody. I know Eric DeCosta's doing a speech this week for my friends at Sports Boosters. That was the last night I went out and did anything normal with sports. It was the last time I touched anyone was that night. So I'm looking forward to maybe getting some chicken and waffles or shrimp and grits with you over at State Fair. Guapo's open now. I can take you for lunch, man. We can get some chips or something. I can talk about the tequila. Doesn't mean you have to drink it. It's fine. But hey, it's always good to visit. I will see you on Thursday. It's good to be turning the corner at the bye. Undefeated Steelers, Ravens. We got an election this week. We got college football going. We got a World Series in play with a kid from Catonsville that might get a ring. So things are good around here, man.
Hey, things are great. They could be a lot worse, right? They could be better, but they certainly could be a whole lot worse, Nestor.
What's going on at Coots Ford? Tell me what's happening out there. You getting some 2021s in?
Yeah, we got the new Ford Bronco here for display, just for people to come out and take a look at it. I've got it up on my social media feed, and Ford's doing a lot of great things. The Bronco, the Mach-E, they have a brand new 2021 F-150 coming with a 12-inch screen. Phenomenal organization, phenomenal franchise, phenomenal manufacturer. So business is good thanks to that wonderful WNST advertising and small to more of that repeat and referral business. We certainly appreciate it.
American made.
American-made. There's nothing wrong with buying American, supporting American, and supporting all the local businesses here in Baltimore. I certainly do my part in doing that, and I do visit all the great sponsors and advertisers here at WNST.
Well, I appreciate that. I mean, we're trying to keep this thing local and fresh. Nothing more positive. Nothing says Baltimore better than Baltimore positive, right? So I'm glad we've moved into it. I like saying it. I like wearing the hat. Wait till you see the gear I'm getting from Strategic Factory, too. So we're going to take
awesome.
that. Dan, I appreciate you, man. We will see you on Thursday from 3 until 5. Replayed on Sunday, getting you ready for the Steelers and the Ravens. And D. Koulatsos Show out on Twitter. Always good to catch up, my brother.
Stay well. Thank you, sir.
You got it. Dennis Koulatsos doing it out there at Coons Ford Security Boulevard and with us each and every Thursday. And still banging around here at different points, too, because when he and I get together, sometimes we have some deeper conversations on Thursday inside and outside of football during the plague about heritage in America and cars and sports and wrestling, among other things. You can still find me, Nasty, at WNST.net. You can find my Tarka ice cream everywhere except in the cartons here because I actually eat the ice cream. Looks like I missed a little bit of the mint flicks and chocolate here in the edge. If you look in there, I maybe clean that one out. Peppermint ice cream with homemade peppermint patties and chocolate. It's delicious. It's the Harka. Serving up social change one scoop at a time. And the big pig truck, whether it's the honey graham or some of the seasonal flavors, including the pumpkin pie latte, pumpkin spice latte, pumpkin pie cheesecake, and the soon-to-be churned eggnog. I'm Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570, Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports and Baltimore positive.